Now we're ready to bring our audio clip into our timeline. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that Sahara VoiceOver is loaded into the viewer. And you'll notice that when we're working with any clip in the viewer and want to drag it from the viewer into the timeline, we can't do the traditional grab and drag that we did before because it scrubs the clip. So the trick here is you need to grab it by the little hand, and at that point you can drag it in. As a matter of fact, if you notice, your cursor changes from an arrow to a hand. So now that we're ready to bring it in, we need to tell Final Cut where we want it to go in our timeline. So let's move to the timeline, select it, and we're going to move the playhead in between clips 1 and 2, and we're going to mark an in point. So now when we drag from the viewer to the canvas, Final Cut Pro will know exactly where to put our audio file. We're going to go up to the hand, drag it, bring it across, and let go. And something didn't work very well here. We actually just erased all of our ambient sound that was on tracks 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and undo that and learn how to do it the proper way. What you need to be able to do is not only tell Final Cut where you wanted to put it in the timeline chronologically, but physically where you want to put it on which tracks. And we want to put this onto tracks 3 and 4. So we're going to use something called track targeting. If you look over here to the left side of your timeline, you see a small A1 and a large A1 and a small A2 and a large A2, A standing for audio. So what we want to do is we want to move our source here down to a new destination at the bottom, so A2 will go to A4, and then I want A1 to go to A3. So audio 1 is going to go to 3, audio 2 is going to go to 4. Now watch what happens when I drag this over. Not only does it go to my endpoint, but now it successfully goes onto tracks 3 and 4. Now track targeting works for more than just audio. It actually works the same way for video. Now you can't see any track targeting in the video area of our timeline. And let me explain why that is and how it works. Because we have an audio-only clip in our viewer, we only see the track targeting for audio. If I jump down here in my browser to the bottom clip, which is called Woman with Bag on Head, this is a video-only clip. As a matter of fact, if you look here in your viewer, you see it says video and there's no audio track. Now looking down here in the left side of our timeline, we see video 1 to video 1 here and no audio targeting. So targeting is dependent upon the clip that's in the viewer. If we go ahead and pick a clip that has both video and audio, I'm going to use Niger Sand 1. This clip, as you see, has both video and a stereo audio track. Looking down here into our timeline, we have targeting for V1 and we have targeting for A1 and A2. As a matter of fact, Final Cut remembers the last location that you targeted to, so you don't have to keep switching back to 3 and 4 if you were slugging in or putting in multiple audio tracks. Let's take a look exactly how this works within your normal Final Cut workflow. So if I brought this clip in from the viewer into the canvas now, it brings in both video and audio where I've targeted to. Another thing I could do is I could say, the video is perfect, but the audio is just noise. It wasn't true ambience. And if I go over here to the left side and click on A3 and A4, you see there's a small gap that's created. Now when I bring the video over from the viewer into the canvas, it only brings the video part of my clip. I can do the same thing with audio. Let me reconnect the audio by clicking on it and break the video. And now when I bring it over, it just brings over the audio. A really great use of this is often in the field you'll record audio on 2 separate tracks. For instance, you might have your main audio on a lavalier mic on your Talent and backup audio just recorded with the camera mic. Well, when you're editing, you don't necessarily want to bring in that backup audio if the lavalier mic was perfect. So what I'm going to do is make sure the video is attached, audio 1 is attached, but I'm going to break audio 2. And now when I drag this over, take a look at what happens to my timeline. It just brings audio track 1 into our show. So let's go ahead and look at our whole timeline. We learned earlier that Shift-Z was fit to window, and I now have a lot of stuff that I want to get rid of. So we're going to simply undo all this and get back to where we want it to be just with our voiceover narrator in our timeline. As you can see, track targeting can help get your clips exactly where you want right from the start.